Welcome everybody to another edition of WCW 2003 here in TEW 2020, and it's time for one of the biggest shows of the years, WCW The Great American Bash, as we're live from Chicago, Illinois at the beautiful United Center. And just ignore the fact that says Monday because maybe somebody forgot to change the date of the show from Sunday week 4 to Sunday week 3, so they're moving everything by a day. So let's just pretend this is not Monday, but a Sunday. And let's get rolling, okay? Cool. So to the actual show first. We're in, like I said, we're at the United Center in front of 20,500 people. In an abysmal pre-show match, Angel Fox, Beth Phoenix, and Celine Cartier defeated Gail Kim, Amber O'Neil, and Roni Jonah in 12:07 when Beth Phoenix pinned Roni Jonah with the Down in Flames. This gets a 53. This again gets the women on the pay-per-view who don't have a real match. So Celine gets a 51, Beth gets a 43, Angel Fox gets a 52, Roni Jonah gets a 35, Amber gets a 46, and Gail Kim gets a 50. And then in our 8-man pre-show match, we have a pre-show match that had subpar wrestling and little heat, but also got a 70. Lestat, Max Sanders, and Team Canada defeated Blitzkrieg, Shishiri, and the Hart Legacy in 2023 when Lestat pinned Yashiro Tajiri with an Impaler, and Mike Sanders was the weak link. So Shishiri got a 60, Teddy Hart got a 57, Jack Evans got a 65, Blitz got a 59, Mike Sanders got a 39, Mike Osmond got a 72, Lance Storm got a 78, and Lestat got a 66. So then we're on to the actual pay-per-view, or in our opening video, which gets a 95, because I actually remember to rate it people instead of having them all off screen. That basically focuses on the Deadpool, RVD and Goldberg war, Shawn O'Hara and Ric Flair fighting over the number one contendership, and, Shawn O'Hara getting injured, not being involved in the RVD Flair match, then coming back in the O'Hare to set up, their number one contendership match tonight, and, the battling that's been going on between RVD and Vampiro as we set up the world title match, and of course the larger Goldberg Deadpool feud. So this gets a 95, so hurrah. We start off in our opening match in a bout of the terrible wrestling and non-existent crowd heat. Jamie Noble defeating Yang in 8:32 by pinfall by using underhanded tactics. So yeah, this is back and forth match. Eventually, Jamie Noble is able to cheat to win and gain the pinfall victory over his former teammate in Yang. Yang gets a 52, Noble gets a 49. And then after the match, Noble celebrating gets a 59. So next up, it's tag team action, as we've had Air Raid. Oh no, sorry, this isn't tag team action. Next up, we've got 6-man action, as Dustin, Konnan, and Finlay have been a mid-card sort of trio, fighting against the Helms & Co. team of Cash and Reno, along with Helms & Co.'s big man Gigantes over the last couple weeks, especially on Saturday night. But they've also been teaming with Chuck Palumbo as he goes after Shane Helms for the U.S. title. So now we've got a 6-man match between Dustin, Konnan, and Finlay, and that 6-man trio of Gigantes, Cash, and Reno. And in that match, oh, god damn it. So actually, it was the tag team match. So basically, Air Raid made an open challenge last week during the build-up to the Bash. Jindrak and Statsiak answered it. Jindrak and Statsiak cheated to win. So now here's the rematch. And in the rematch, in a decent match, Air Raid defeated Jindrak and Statsiak in 11:23 when AJ Styles pinned Mark Jindrak Styles Clash. This gets a 57. Styles got a 82. Paris got a 77. Jindrak got a 66. And Statsiak got a 62. And as it notes here, since this is the 4th time this matchup has been done recently, it needed to be better. So basically, we hit the penalty for over using it, but what can you do? That's why I put it relatively low on the card, but not the end of the world, as the AFA celebrating afterwards gets a 63. Next up afterwards, in that 6-man match I was talking about, in a poor match, which gets a 68, Helms & Co. Gigantes, Cash, and Reno defeated Dustin Rhodes, Konnan, and Finlay in 9:08 when Cash pins Dustin Rhodes with the dead level following interference from Amber O'Neil. Wait, what? But yeah, after Amber O'Neil comes out, interferes against Dustin, maybe say crouching him on the ropes or just sort of distracting him. Cash is able to get the pinfall victory. So like I said, the 6-man itself gets a 68, Reno gets a 56, Cash gets a 62, Gigantes gets a 58, Finlay gets a 46, Konnan gets a 59, and Rhodes gets a 62. And then afterwards, Helms and Co. celebrate with Amber, which gets a 62. And next up, we've got our Cruiserweight title match, as Paul London defends against Kaz after Kaz won a triple threat match at the last Nitro. So in that, which is a friggin' awesome match, wow, like this is probably going to be like maybe like the fourth best match on the show. But anyway, about a decent wrestling, but didn't have much heat. Paul London defeated Kaz in 13:05 by pinfall to London Calling, and London makes a defense number 3 of his Cruiserweight title. So yeah, this is just what do you expect, just back and forth action, and London gets the big victory over Kaz by hitting him with Shooting Star Press. And then afterwards, London is celebrating when Knoble attacks him, goes after his knee, and locks in a submission hold, while refs come out and break it apart, and that gets a 56. Next up, we've got our Women's World title match. I want to say we have a Women's World. Let me go back for a second. So in the Women's World title match, in an abysmal match, which still got a 56, Lexi James defeated Jordyn Cole by 9:34 by pinfall to DT. Lexi James makes defense number 2 of her Women's World title. James got a 50. Cole gets a 46. So yeah, 56, just back and forth. Lexi is able to get the advantage and outsmart Cole and hit her big DT and pick up the victory. And overall, and then James celebrating afterwards gets a 66. Her just screaming in the crowd, "I'm still the head bitch in charge of the women's division." And afterwards, in sort of the blow-off to the long feud that's been happening between DDP and Kidman for the last couple months, basically since the start of the year, give or take some stuff. And about that had great wrestling and good heat. Billy Kidman and Diamond Dallas Page, and about that great wrestling and good heat, Billy Kidman defeated DDP in 14:35 when DDP could not beat a 10 count after a Kid Crusher. So yeah, this was a last man standing match, and at the end of the day, Kidman, no interference, no cheating, just Kidman is able to hit the big Kid Crusher, and DDP just can't get up, and Kidman has decisively and finally won this feud. DDP gets a 79, Kidman gets an 81, and so overall, like I said, the match itself gets an 82, and then Kidman celebrating gets a 74. Okay, next up we've got our tag title match between America's Most Wanted, who defeated Air Raid for the titles last month, and Ray Jr. and Alex Wright to win the 4-way. And in that match, which gets an 80, in a decent match, AMW defeated Ray Jr. and Alex Wright in 14:38 when James Storm pinned Alex Wright with an 8-second ride. AMW made defense number 1 of their World Tag Team titles. So let's see here. Wright got a 69, Ray Jr. got an 86 because he's awesome. Harris got a 64, and Storm got a 66. So again, back and forth tag match. I imagine AEW do a little cheating to get the advantage, but at the end of the day, after everything breaks down, Storm is able to hit Wright with the 8-second ride and pick up the big pinfall victory to retain the titles. And then afterwards, AMW celebrating with their manager Lawler gets a 68. And after that, it's time for the U.S. title match between Shane Helms and Chuck Palumbo. And of course, Palumbo won the right to be the number 1 contender, and he's been sort of involved in the feud with the overall Helms & Co., teaming up with Dustin, Konnan, Finlay. So let's see what happens here. And in a superb match, Shane Helms defeated Chuck Palumbo in 17:8 by pinfall with a vertebreaker. Let's just say no. That was a super kick. Because, Shane Helms is not getting Chuck Palumbo up for a vertebreaker. I'm sorry. So basically, Amber O'Neil comes out again. And this is not a straight cheating, but basically, Amber O'Neil comes out, and that distracts Palumbo just for long enough that he turns around and walks right into a super kick from Helms. And he manages to pick up the victory. So Helms got a freaking 88 performance. Palumbo got an 81. And then the overall match got a 78. And then afterwards, Helms celebrating with O'Neil gets a 53. Because I actually rated O'Neil, which was probably not the best thing to do, but what can you do? Now it's time for one of our big tag team match as Jason and Jett sort of became Goldberg's, running buddy over the last couple weeks as he's helped out, after Jett had a match with Morningstar that ended in a smudge, and now he's sort of his tag team partner as they take on Mesias and Morningstar. So in that match, and sorry. Actually, what happens next is Konnan is backstage. He's complaining to anybody who listens that, there's conspiracy against him. Eric Bischoff does, WCW officials don't want the best wrestler in the world at the top of the card where he belongs, because nobody's better than Konnan. Nobody can beat me. They had to, get some supercharged warrior to actually beat him at Starrcade, and he never got his real rematch. Bischoff comes over him, tells him basically, Konnan, there's no conspiracy against you. You just haven't been lucky. But, I'll tell you what. This Nitro, you want a big-time opponent for Bash at the Beach? I'll figure somebody out for you. Konnan says, glory, hallelujah. And he, goes over to Jordyn and says, see, I told you. I just had to... Eric Bischoff finally is deciding to be a real man and not a puppet of WCW officials anymore. And this gets an 83, because again, this is just a short segment. And then we move on to the big tag match. As in a good match, Bill Goldberg and Jason Jett drew with Morningstar and Mesias in 12:57 when the match descended into chaos. So yeah, this just descends into just total, double count out, WDQ, just wild brawl to end things. And Jett got a 60, Bill Goldberg got an 89, Mesias got an 87, and Morningstar got an 80. So this overall gets an 82, like I said. And then sort of in the aftermath, Lestat comes down, so it looks like a 3-on-2, when out of nowhere, or not really out of nowhere, but coming out of the crowd, it's Booker T, and he makes his return after, getting thrown off the stage by Mesias last month, and he helps fight off the heat off the Deadpool and stands with Goldberg and Booker. And that gets an 84. Next up, we've got our number one contenders match between Sean O'Haire and Ric Flair for the next title shot. So, it was originally going to be RVD versus Flair versus O'Haire at Slamboree, but O'Haire got injured legitimately basically a week before the match, so it became RVD versus Flair. RVD went over, and O'Haire came back after the pay-per-view, and he wanted the match with Flair, and then we've had the feud, including O'Haire driving Flair off to the middle of nowhere and leaving with a long cab ride back to the hotel, lots of fighting, and O'Haire trying to claim himself as the next, big thing in WCW. So, in that match, which gets a freaking 92, wow. In an exceptional match, Sean O'Haire defeated Ric Flair in 13:53 by pinfall with the Widowmaker. So, Flair gets an 82. O'Haire gets a 91, and I love this note. Ric Flair made Sean O'Haire look particularly strong. So, yeah, this is your classic Flair getting somebody over performance. And O'Haire holds up his end of the deal. And in the end, O'Haire is just too much for Flair. And right in the middle of the ring, he drills Flair with the Widowmaker and gets the 1, 2, 3. And this gets a 92. And yeah, thanks, Johnny. Ric Flair kindly uses spear skills to make Sean O'Haire look particularly strong. Thank you. And then basically the O'Haire is celebrating, and Flair is being Flair on the outside after losing, but the Horsemen come out and basically carry Flair away. Was this a way to make sure Jared Douglas reminded me in the mail afterwards about not getting on the pay-per-view at all? Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, like I said, this gets an 82, and then it's main event time. So RVD makes his entrance, this gets an 82. Vampiro makes his entrance, this gets an 81. And then in our main event, so like I said, this is a solid back and forth match. Not lots of plunder, but medium amounts of plunder because it's Vampiro and Rob Van Dam. I'm sure Churkin's involved. Maybe somebody could tie him to a table. But at the end of the day, RVD goes for the Van Daminator, but Vampiro basically ducks it, hits a big sort of head kick type of move, and then is able to nail in coffin right on the steel chair to pick up the pinfall victory. And this gets a 91. So, like I said, an exceptional match. Vampiro defeated RVD in 1950 by pinfall. Well, I told you the real finish. Vampiro made defense number 1 of the WCW World Heavyweight title, so this gets a 91. RVD gets a 94. Vamp gets a 90. There are times when there's definite lack of psychology on display, as the match had a tendency to drift a little. I mean, it's a RVD Vampiro match, so yeah, there you go. RVD and Vampiro had pretty good chemistry, though, so that's a positive. So there we go. And then in the show ending angle, which gets an 86, Vampiro is celebrating with the world title, sort of like just holding it up in the middle of the ring, as already is at ringside. And then O'Haire comes out and just basically stares down Vampiro as the announcers hype that it's going to be Vampiro O'Haire at Bash at the Beach with the world title on the line. And this gets an overall in 86, so there you go. Overall, the show got a 90, which I don't think is our best paper. It might be our best pay-per-view ever. So who do I want to give credit to? Okay. What matches was... Okay, yeah. First of all, Ric Flair. As a good example for bringing over O'Haire so strong. Shane Helms. And then also Rob Van Dam. So there we go. That's our big Slamboree. Not Slamboree. That's our big Great American Bash. So as this loads up in a moment here, we'll skip here in a second just so there's no spoilers for the actual Raw and stuff. So be back in just a moment. So we actually have two incidents. So first involving Hellraiser, also known as Malice, also known as Gigantes. Hard drug user. Let's find you. Yes, I know you're very unhappy at that action. And now let's go to Chris Canyon. Painkillers. Okay, so... Okay. This is somebody we'll give him a stern warning. And what we're going to do is we're going to take Chris. Let's talk to you, Canyon. Actually, looks like I can't say anything about that, but how about our buddy Gigantes? Let's talk to you. Okay, well that's unfortunate. So yeah, neither guy wants to give me much. So that's too bad. But anyway, let's just go through a couple people with some big wins today, just to go over their overness. So let's see here. Goldberg, popularity. He basically is still at the 90s. Billy Kidman, let's see here. Kidman with his big... Okay, so this was actually a huge one for Kidman, as he went from the low 70s up to the mid to high 70s. So that's a huge one for Kidman over DDP. Let's see here. Anybody else? We got DDP. And DDP's didn't even lose. I mean, he lost a couple points, but not that much in popularity. Let's see here. I'm just looking for other people who had fairly big wins. So Lexi James is up to mid 40s. So let's see how she's doing. Yeah, so she's slowly building popularity. Let's see here. Paul London getting another big victory, and he's about the same with his popularity. Flair, let's see, did he lose? Flair shockingly actually went up. I guess, yeah, that build-up I've been doing him has worked well. RVD, let's see how you're doing, buddy. RVD, okay, RVD is officially a star, and a super mega star. So that's great. Let's see here. Sean O'Haire. Sean O'Haire is really getting over. Yeah, he's all in the either high 80s or low 90s for everything. Shane Helms is building himself up to, yeah, the mid 80s for everything, so that's good. Let's see here. Is there anybody else? Oh, Vamp. Okay, let's see here. Vamp. Okay, so Vamp's up to 90s basically everywhere. So yeah, there you go. So again, we're going to this happen on Sunday, so we don't know what's happening on Raw yet. So again, Paul London still is our Cruiserweight champion. Shane Helms still our U.S. champion. World champion is still Lexi James. World TV champion is still Tajiri, even though he didn't defend it. And World Heavyweight champion is still Vampiro. So yeah, now we're on the road to Bash at the Beach, where Booker T has made his return, and we're probably going after a member of the Deadpool. Vampiro will be playing the title against Sean O'Hare. Jamie Knoble wants to take on Paul London for the Cruiserweight title. Lexi James will need another new contender. Billy Kidman looks to be moving on, and who knows, will A-Raid get another title shot, or will something else happen as far as the tag titles? You'll just have to see. But, for now, thanks for watching, and, if you're enjoying the video, comment below on what you're enjoying and not enjoying, and, subscribe to the channel for lots of TEW 2020 content, including more stuff with MLW, WCW 1993, Women's Wrestling in 2010, and the local global series. That's all for now, so talk to you later, and adios.